Joey Cantons of Daytona State. Big 103-74 win today. Congratulations on a big win.
Appreciate you. Awesome opening game for us.
Yeah, I know it's been a big week for you and your family, the FIU job, that's awesome, but I know this week you're about Daytona State and the Falcons. One of my favorite players all season. You know, everybody talks about Tyrese Lacey, Noah Mindy, rightfully so. I love Adrian Shackleton. Could you talk a little bit about him and what he brings to your Falcons squad?
Yeah, he was great today scoring the ball. I think he ended with 24. But just a special player because he can play the point, he can score, and he just does so much for us, taking some of the pressure off of Tyrese and Noah.
And let's be honest, he looks like he could go play football tomorrow in the NFL. So that's pretty helpful
impressive.
too.
He's impressive.
Talk just a little bit about Tyrese Lacey. You know, he's returning this year as a sophomore, gets the big win here. Obviously, he's the guy that just kind of keeps everybody together. When at the beginning of the game, when Jones really got out and was running and was speeding things up, Tyrese just kind of, I don't know, brings this calming presence. Even for a guy that plays like a water bug out there, you know, kind of a little bit on fire himself, but he just finds a way to kind of get everybody else relaxed.
No, he's a special player and really important piece to what we're doing. And you nailed it on the head. He's so calm. He's played international with the Great Britain national team as their starting point guard for a long time. So he's been in big moments, and I think that was key for us today, opening up game one.
You know, one of, I think, the most athletic guys in junior college basketball is Noah Mindy. I think he kind of found another gear for you guys in the region tournament. It felt like he really increased his level of play. I think he took it up another level today, almost ended up with a triple-double. Just quick look at the stat line, 19 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists, only had 1 turnover. Somebody said, wow, this kid's incredible. I was like, man, he's just really well coached. So, I mean, you got to take a lot of credit there,
I
right?
can't take any credit on that one. He's a super talented player, super gifted. But I give him a lot of credit. When you look at what he did last year, really developed through a 2-year process here at Daytona State. So credit to him for sticking with us, staying here 2 years, and you've really seen his growth throughout the process.
Yeah, this is the 3rd year you've been out to the national tournament in a row. I've kind of loved watching the evolution of Coach Canton's basketball. Similar things, but there's always like a little bit of different nuances and tweaks with probably your roster makeup and everything. I think it is so cool when you can bring 5 guards or 5 guard caliber players on the floor. I think Coach Kyle Cooper with Howard's probably sitting over there and thinking, oh my goodness, how do I stop these guys? We got 5 guards on the floor, but what I like is your guys are tough. Right, you can go with the traditional smaller lineup because all of those guys will scrap and get in there and rebound. You're close to a +10 on the season in rebounding.
Yeah, no, they're doing a great job, and I say, we talk about they protect each other. So of course we give up a little bit of a height advantage, but we are long, we're athletic, we're physical, and they do a great job protecting each other if somebody tries to single a man out in an isolation or try to take somebody one-on-one. So.
Well, Coach Cantons, we'll let you enjoy this one with your guys. Welcome to the Sweet 16. Really excited to see you back here on Monday to take on the #1 seed Howard Hawks.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, Coach, enjoy this one. Thank you. All right, that's Coach Joey Cantons with Daytona State. They move on to the Sweet 16. They'll take on Howard. Big week for Coach Cantons and his family. Just announced he will be the next head coach at FIU. And it continues the trend of junior college coaches getting a chance at the next level. We got Hank Plona here in attendance, head coach at Western Kentucky. Friend of the program, Jeremy Schulman, had a great year for UT Martin. I love the trend, Brandon. A lot of people are finally tapping into what you've been saying for years. So many great coaches.
Well, and you know, it's interesting in this modern environment too, especially with the transfer portal. We talked about this all season on JUCO Jam, that now I think ADs are understanding that unless you're at the highest of high major levels, you're going to have to really turn over that roster every year. You're going to have the ability to face adversity from a roster construction standpoint, and who's better suited to do that than junior college coaches that are used to having guys for 2 years at most anyways.
Yeah. Well, that was a great way to end game one, right? A big 103-74 win by Daytona State. But coming up next, the 15-18, we got Barton, New Mexico. Barton will have a nice crowd here. They've had a great regular season. One of the hottest teams coming in the second half of the year, coming off a loss at home against Butler in the region title. How do you see this next one shaping up, Brandon?
Well, this is an interesting one because, you know, the Whack-Jack, the Jayhawk, 2 of the most powerful conferences in all of basketball, and for this to be a 15-18 seed, it just doesn't feel like a 15-18 seed, right? This feels like two...
Like an Elite 8.
Yeah, exactly. This feels like 2, single-digit seed teams going against each other. The rosters are just absolutely littered with Division I talent. Really excited to see these guys get out there.
You know, we have 10 out of the 24 teams come from the Jayhawk, the Whack-Jack, and the Panhandle. Well, Panhandle plus Daytona. We're just going to include them for this week, right? In Florida, right? Yeah. So we're going to have, I think, a lot of these matchups where we do see these conferences go against each other. Everybody thinks they're the best. This is going to be kind of round one in deciding, you know, who can lay claim to be the best region in junior college basketball. There's a little bit of bragging rights here.
Yeah, absolutely. With so many teams from these power conferences, you know, it's going to be interesting to see if there's one conference that maybe separates himself a little bit in this situation. But, you know, junior college basketball is so deep all over the place that even if some of these teams are not from those power conferences, look out. There's a lot of talent here that can sneak up and bite you.
So this is the JUCO Jam show. We do things our way. And, you know, Brandon, you're not prepared for this, but I want, believe it or not, there are no show notes. But what I would like you to do, give me a pick to click for each team and tell our audience out there why.
So for me, next game, Laji Coulibaly for New Mexico. I talked about him on the JUCO Jam show. I talked about him at halftime of the last game. I just think that defensive presence that he can bring out there, that length that he has in rebounding, it's unique. His ability to move at that size is something that's pretty special in junior college basketball. On the other side of that, Sebastian Mucic is a player also from Great Britain, like Tyrese Lacey from Daytona, who has a ton of skill, who has a lot of physicality to him, who's athletic. You know, he's not as tall, not as long as Laji, but I'm just looking forward to watching those two guys square off against each other. The physicality of Sebastian, the length and mobility of Laji. It's going to be a great matchup up front.
I mean, what's not to love there? I'm going to quickly go with Brian Sullivan. He came in at mid-season at the semester break, gave the Cougars a lot of offensive punch, and then I like the diminutive left-handed point guard for New Mexico, RJ Nance. Guys, we're going to have coverage all tournament long. Stay with us. This has been the JUCO Jam show. We're getting ready for Game 2 between the 15 seed Barton Cougars and the 18 seed New Mexico Thunderbirds.